Next, there's a couple more things that we're gonna do. First, we're going to rinse out our Korean radish. Make sure we get all the salty taste out. And then what we're gonna do is we're actually gonna squeeze the water, and then we will put it in the same bowl as with our chives. Next, what we're gonna do is, now that we've washed our Korean radish, what we're gonna do is we're gonna squeeze out the water, and then we're gonna have about 175 grams. And we're gonna add it to the same bowl as our garlic chives, or our chives or our garlic. And honestly, I like to have a little bit of extra Korean radish, so having a little bit more to me is not a big deal. And again, you don't need it bone dry, but just want to squeeze out a good amount of that water. And just to show you the consistency compared to earlier, you can see how much more flexible it is. All right, and while we're doing this, and while we're washing and everything, our hot pepper rice flour mixture has probably cooled down enough. And even though as it cools, it does thicken up just a little bit more, which is fine because I like to put a little bit of our blended mixture in there as well. I guess most of this became water weight. Okay, so right now we have about 165-ish. Okay, so we'll throw that in here as well. Kind of break that up. Leave that to the side. Move this over. Just in case you have a little bit more water. And so yeah, what I like to do is just kind of mix it around a little bit, make sure we get everything off. Actually, so what I'll do is kind of incorporate this a little bit just so we can get out of the pot a little bit easier. And again, this is not necessary, just something that I do. That's it over there. Okay, then we'll mix this in. Rest of that off. Oops, looks like I spilled a little bit on the countertop. I'm just gonna tidy up here a little bit. Here, mix this in. This is the part where you'll need gloves. I did tidy up a little bit, but we're getting ready for the last part here. What we're gonna do first is we're just gonna keep mixing. Not keep mixing, we're gonna incorporate all our ingredients together into our seasoning paste and do a little bit by hand after I mix it with the spatula a little bit. So what I'll do is just let that sit for a second, and then while we're letting that marinate together, kind of wanted to go through and show you the container that I use. Different sizes, but I did buy this at a Korean market. But what it's a container that's made specifically for kimchi. That's probably the biggest thing. The first thing is just making sure that it's airtight. The second is using something, if possible, to help push the air out as much as possible. It's just oxygen is what prevents it from fermenting. As it ferments, it does kind of create some carbon dioxide gas, so you'll see some bubbles come up as it's fermenting. But this is meant to help push everything down, and this is to keep things airtight. If you don't have a container, or like I said, I do a second batch just for kimchi that we can eat right away, you can just use a regular container like this, same thing, as long as it's airtight. What I also do is I put a little bit of saran wrap on there. I'll wrap it on the top just so that the smell It doesn't get in the fridge, and it just kind of keeps the pepper contained within the container itself. So, all right, so what we'll do is we have that, and also we have our cabbage here. Our cabbage has been sitting and draining, and we have also the second one, the little bits that we have here. So I should probably start straining this out, and actually we'll just put it right here. And same thing, as I mentioned earlier, just need to make sure, actually we'll do this last. We will cut that part out. I am going to have peppery fingers though. So the next part, we want to kind of get things ready before we get pepper on our fingers, because we will be limited as far as what we can touch. So the first part is squeezing out the water from the little bits that we had earlier, and also part of the cabbage that we chopped. And so what we'll do, is we will squeeze out the water. Like so, and again, you're not squeezing it super hard. I'll give you the camera here. Let's borrow that. I am not used to doing this in front of a camera, so I have nowhere to put things. Just squeezing out the water. And again, just to remind you guys, I did rinse this out a few times before letting it strain, so. Normally I would not use that container, but I do not have a whole lot of space here, so. Okay, we'll squeeze this last bit out. And then we'll put everything back into our strainer, and it looks good. Okay, so that's ready to go. We'll throw this in at the end with the rest of the seasoning just to use up everything that we have. Now, when actually seasoning the cabbage, we want to put a little bit of seasoning on every leaf, but you don't have to go overboard and make sure that you get everywhere, because as it is fermenting, there is going to be seasoning that runs throughout. So, put this off here, everywhere. Set that aside, and we got to do this so that our cabbage does not tumble over. Okay, oh, I forgot. I'll mix the rest of this by hand. Get everything incorporated well. All right, so what I like to do is I like to use my dominant hand to mix and season. And I'm left-handed, so that's why I'm mixing with my left hand. I try to keep my right hand as clean as possible. I typically don't wear gloves in the kitchen, but this is one of the times where I actually do. Okay. So what I do is I lay this on top, just like that, make sure it's rubbed in really well. And it's almost like you're painting with the seasoning. And so you want to do is just hold a bunch of leaves with your right hand and slowly just kind of paint the seasoning onto the leaves. And again, you can see, I probably won't get every. So some you want to paint, and then others you want to actually leave a little bit of the chives and the Korean radish inside, like so. And obviously the cabbage, when it's done, will be a lot thicker than it was before. Because of all the extras that we're adding in. Okay, so yeah, just like that. Make sure everything's nice and covered. Where did this leaf come from? You belong in there. Okay, so first one is done. And next here, what you want to do is lay it out like that. Now, I guess if you're really pro, you can take the outer leaf and you can wrap it. But I'm not pro, so. Alright, what we do is sort of almost bend it in half just to get it in there. Fold it through. And we'll tuck it in. Alright, same thing. That was a big one, so let's get this smaller one here. Okay, that. All right, we'll repeat the process over. All right, just like this. And you can see it's just like painting in a way, a little therapeutic as well. And again, no reason to go crazy. And no reason to try and get everything seasoned, because everything will meld well inside while it's fermenting. Okay, number 2 is done. Oh, as I mentioned earlier, wrapping. Kind of just wrap it around like this. To be honest, I don't know why. It's probably just keep everything in. Same thing as earlier. I'll stagger it just to make sure that we have room for everything. Alright, I think we might be able to. Maybe we'll get one more in there. Maybe, actually I don't think we will. Okay, so the last ones. Alright, let's just repeat this process again. Same thing here, just watch, kind of sweeping things up here. I thought this container was bigger. I guess not. Okay, so we'll flatten this out, get this last one in. This one is a good sized one. So try to pull that one off like that. This is not gonna fit. Okay, guys. Somehow, maybe we'll edit this out. Okay, we'll leave this on top for now. So let's do it this way. There we go. Sorry about that, my battery died. Guess that's what happens with your first video. Okay, so we did get, hopefully got some good shots of me putting the seasoning on the kimchi, on the cabbage. Before we move on, so this is filled, as you can see, with 3/4 of one cabbage. I'll just kind of wipe the edges here. So make sure everything's nice and clean. All right, and next we'll put that aside. Put the top on this, because it's pretty full, it's actually not gonna go in that well, which is fine, because that means there'll be no air in there. aside. Next, I wanted to show you the second type, version type that I do. What I'm just gonna do is lightly chop this here. So we'll get rid of some right there. Try and remove the thinner ones. Slice this off again. And then next we'll set this on the top. All right, so since these are a little bit narrower, we're gonna leave these as is. The top one, the top leaves, what we're gonna do, make sure everything's like that. I usually like to just slice it right down the middle. Stack these back on top. This is actually the same way I slice the kimchi after it's been fermented. So slice that there, there. Okay, and once that's sliced, actually throw it in like this. And you may have heard of another version. We call it mak kimchi. Mak kimchi is like this, except I guess most people do the slicing of the cabbage before the brining. Set this aside, and this one, it's a little more straightforward. What we actually do is just mix it, and this is when I would put this back in. Together. Make sure everything is very well incorporated. Like this. Getting all the way down to the bottom. Like that. Easy peasy. Just put in the container, just like this. Looks like I'll need another container, but we'll fill this as much as we can. So what we'll do is we'll just take off one glove here. So you can grab another container. Sorry guys. I usually normally don't use this small container for making kimchi. So I was not prepared. I guess if you have granite countertops, be careful about getting pepper on it. Okay, there we go. We'll set both of these. Now, if you do want your kimchi to ferment a little bit quicker, you can leave it out. You don't have to put it in the fridge right away. The colder it is, the slower it ferments. And so for instance, if you are wanting to enjoy this the very next day, and you don't mind it being a little bit under fermented, leave it out as well. Okay, so what we're doing is just wrapping that lightly with saran wrap. Put the lid on. And that's it. All right, I hope that my video answered some of the questions that you may have. If you do have any additional questions, I'll try my best to answer. Please just leave your question in the comments, and I will answer it as best as I can. Have a great day. Good luck. I think the biggest thing is just stay relaxed. Don't worry about it too much. It'll turn out well. Yeah, have a great day. She want to try some. Yummy, yummy. It's good.